after Mecca and Medina in Arabia. I will explain to you the significance, therefore, of the Dome of the Rock for the Muslims. What is it then? If the sacrifice was not here, so then what is this for? Am I right? Yeah, but in most part, it is Turkish. It was built like 1500 years after Christ by the Turkish Sultan Suleiman the Magnificent. Suleiman is like Solomon in Arabic. Suleiman the Magnificent. So there are 3 gates in this side of the wall. Opposite the Notre Dame behind us, there is one. And here to the right, there is the second one. It's called Damascus Gate. This is Turkish. Beautiful, isn't it? Look there inside. Okay, look at the crowds. Look at the crowds coming from the mosque.
Yeah.
And down to the left of the bridge down, do you see another gate?
Yes.
That is the gate that was there in Jesus' days. In other words, the Turkish gate here is built over the Roman Jesus' days gate. Shall I repeat?
Yes.
There is a third gate which is coming forth. Do you see where the people are coming out from? That is called Herod's Gate. Herod's Gate. I repeat, Herod's Gate. We're driving along the northern side of the wall, and there are 3 gates here. The one opposite the Notre Dame is called the New Gate, and we have seen the Damascus Gate. Which gate we just passed?
Damascus.
Damascus. Which gate did we pass? And which gate is this coming one?
Herod's.
Herod's Gate. So I repeat these gates in the northern side of the wall. The New Gate, Damascus Gate, and Herod's Gate. I want you now to name them from before Damascus to the west of Damascus.
New Gate.
The New Gate,
Damascus.
Damascus Gate,
Herod.
and Herod's Gate. Very good. Very good.
Is there any significance to the balloons?
Not really, no.
Okay.
Just decorative.
Okay.
Yeah, that's good for the kids. They love it. And the best time is that when they put a pin in them and they blow. Also, some of these, if you let loose, they fly to the sky.
Helium in them.
Helium, yes.
Herod's Gate.
This is Herod's Gate because they believe that Herod, but not Herod the Great, Herod, his son Herod, his name was Antipas. Have you heard of Herod Antipas, the fox?
Yes.
Yeah, they believe that he had a palace nearby. That's why they call it. Look, all these people, these are coming from the mosque. See? Thousands and thousands of people. That's why, we preferred not to go to the old city today, okay? I wanted to keep away from these crowds. So sometimes when you plan your things, you have to think of 1,000,001 things at the same time.
Good thing.
روح من الشارع صراحة.
Huh?
تيأسني وجيت من هون أنا نسيت. تيأسنا وجينا من هون أنا.
Okay, we don't want to lose the whole day just being stuck here on the road. Look.
الحيوان على الصف.
أنا والله العظيم كنت بدي أقول لك.
مش عارف عاد داخل يا حاج. الله يجده بالك يا حسن.
There's another gate down ahead of us to the right, where even more, a bigger a number of people coming from the prayers on the Temple Mount.
أغلبك تقول له بس بدي صحصح هذا شوي.
Huh? Tweety bird. Yeah, it's Tweety bird too.
ولا عارف إنه إله ولا همه.
Yeah.
Saladin. I don't know whether you heard this name before, but Saladin as a source of pride to the Muslims. Ask me why.
Why?
You ask me why, I tell you why. Because he is the guy that defeated the Christian Crusaders in 1187. The Crusaders were here, and he defeated them and made them leave Jerusalem. So because he defeated the Crusaders, he just...
This guy better put his hand in, we'll take it off.
I think we need to give her not put it.
Well, this is one good
He
drive.
liked the guy.
by the way, church. Here, they are responsible for some of the researches in the archaeology of the Holy Land. All right. By the way, let me shed some light on what's happening here in terms of archaeology. Here, I'm, getting involved in a property that is going to be bought by a very big and famous and rich college in the United States. They want to buy this land in order to build a college, and maybe next time you're here, in a few years, you will see me teaching in this college. Yeah, you already talked to me. So maybe next month we're going to Jordan to sign the contract.
Good.
Yeah, but it's very expensive, $5 million. So here in front of you, look at the many windows there ahead of you. Do you see there?
Mm-hmm.
That's the Hyatt Regency. No, actually, I'm sorry. It was the Hyatt Regency Hotel, but in the year 2000, Brother Tony, you know that because you came.
Yes.
Look at the city to the right. A hospital today called Victoria was built as a palace by the German Kaiser Wilhelm II for his wife Augusta Victoria. Walking down these places, right?
Yes.
Got it.
This is, well, I believe that first thing we take the photo picture. I think that's a better place up here. We can see. Try to think, as I said before, try to think of nothing. Nothing here at all. Just mountains and olive trees. Not even this kind. There was another kind that yields, well, this is good like table olives. Now, about 4,000 years ago, we know that Abraham came from Ur in southern Iraq. He came here, right? Mm-hmm. Am I right?
Yes.
Who welcomed him here? Melchizedek in Genesis. Now here I tie it to the Old Testament. Melchizedek, who was king over Jerusalem, that was called Salem. Probably that part of the city now. Do you see down there? Look at the road. Do you see that road with the bus? Huh?
Yes.
To the left of that is the city of David. But before it was called the city of David, it was called Salem. Salem.
Yeah.
Yeah. After Salem, ma'am, it began being called Jebus. All right? I repeat, Salem and then Jebus. Now, one of the people that lived, listen to me, I want you to look at me. So, I'll be like television, you look and hear. So, one of the people that lived in Jebus was called Arona. He owned the land. Now look at it. Do you see that black dome? Do you see the golden dome?
Right.
That is Mount Moriah. He owned that land. And he had his threshing floors up there. Am I clear so far? Yeah. But because I talked about Abraham, let me tell you, God told Abraham, go to the place I'll show you to sacrifice your son, your only son, Isaac. So we Christians and Jews believe that Abraham brought Isaac over there. That's why the name Mount Moriah. I was a Moreh before becoming a guide. Moreh means teacher, instructor. because God instructed Abraham over here. So the Mount Moriah means the Mount of Instruction, or the instructed to mountain. All right? And then it was owned by Araunah. Now, around the year 1004 BC, David decided to make Jerusalem his capital. But it was a Jebusite city. He came to take it. And what did the Jebusites do? They put on the walls of Jebus down. Look, from the corner there in the street all the way down, there was a wall. There was a wall. You know, you see the steps there? There was a wall down there. What they did, they put the lame and the blind and the paralytic, kind of a curse against him, and they told him, you will never be able to take it. But the blind and the lame will, and lepers will. David. Am I clear so far? Yeah? Good. So the city of David. What did he do also? He bought that land that was owned by Araunah, and he wanted to build a temple for God. God said, no, you're a man of war, you cannot do it. So he built a tabernacle there. It was his son, Solomon, that built the first temple over there. Where? In the vicinity of the Dome of the Rock. But before that, before building this, the Bible tells us that there was a palace rebellion. Have you heard of Absalom? Absalom led the rebellion, and David at one point had to run away for his life, and he hid here on the Mount of Olives. And then what happened was that Solomon built the first temple. Listen to that. There's something I don't understand about King Solomon. It is that on one part he built that temple there for God. On the other hand, on the southern side of the Mount of Olives, which is like 2 miles long, yeah, we passed through the northern side, the Hebrew University. Remember that? Mm-hmm. We're on the central part proper, and on the southern part, he built shrines for his pagan wives. How can you build, on the one hand, home or house for God, and on the other hand, houses or shrines for paganism? But anyway, after Solomon, the kingdom broke into two, and this remained the capital of two tribes. Those that went to captivity lost contact with the people that remained back home. So in order for these people to tell the deportees in Babylon about the beginning of months and holidays, what did they do? They lit fire here on the Mount of Olives, and they exchanged. The fire was seen farther east on the mountains of Moab, in Jordan today, the Hashemite kingdom of Jordan today. Kind of fire signals, all right? Until fire signals reached Babylon on the same day. It was also here that the priests used to cleanse with the ashes of the red heifer while looking at the temple. But 50 years later, the people in Babylon came back here, and they began building the second temple under Zerubbabel. You remember that? And towards the year 515 BC, the second temple was ready to use. It functioned between 515 BC and 70 AD, if you want, a period of time which is 585 years. 515 and 70 is 585. It was during that period that Christ was born and lived. He also predicted the destruction of the temple in Jerusalem. He says, Luke 19 tells us, where not a stone would be left upon another. It was also that he said, destroy it and I'll build it in 3 days. It took more than 21 years for the people to build it in the first place, and then to rebuild by Herod, like more than 40 years just building and rebuilding. And everybody was surprised. What do you mean it took that long, many decades, and you want to build it in 3 days? Because they missed the point. See what I mean? Now, I come to the Mount of Olives again. It was here that Christ used to spend a lot of time. It was here that he passed on several occasions during his lifetime on the earth. It was here that he revealed the mysteries of the universe to the disciples. It was here that he separated from everybody else to meditate and pray. In other words, it was a special place for him. On a day like today, today's Sabbath, and Christ being a religious guy, he made it his habit to spend most of the time here. You ask me why?
Why?
You ask me why, I tell you why. It was
Come on, guys.
because I tell you, listen now why. It was here that he could safely, while being here, could safely go to Jerusalem if he'd wanted to, and he could safely go to Bethany on the eastern slope of the Mount of Olives if he'd wanted to. But if he was in Jerusalem and he wanted to go to Bethany, he couldn't do that. You know why? Because it was more than a Sabbath day's journey. Here was kind of the last, yards where he could go back to Jerusalem. So, now I begin again. On the eastern slope, Brother Tony, first thing you come to a place called Bethpage. If you see that tower there, if I go beyond it, there is a road that takes you immediately within 5 minutes to Bethpage, where Christ sent for the donkey to take to ride on Palm Sunday. And below it, Bethany, where he had that friendly family of Lazarus, Mary, and Martha. So he used to go there in Jerusalem. And besides, one point we shouldn't ignore, it is that he made it his habit not to make himself visibly seen among the crowds on the Temple Mount, because the Pharisees were mostly after him. They didn't like his teachings. He was kind of, digging below there or collapsing, destroying their teachings. So, this is it. But there.
Yes.
Now we are looking at the eastern. We drove by or along the northern side of the wall, right? Now this is the eastern side. Look at the sun coming from the east. The eastern side of the wall, there are two gates. That sealed one is called the Golden Gate, or the Eastern Gate, or the Gate Beautiful, or Shushan Gate. And to the right, in the middle, you can see an opening there. That is St. Stephen's Gate. It's always open. That's why we, couldn't make it down. Many Muslims come from the mosques down through this gate and go, right? You can now, you realize what I'm saying. Now, it was Zechariah 14, verse 4. And in that time his feet will stand on the Mount of Olives. In that time when he comes again, which is in front of Jerusalem on the east. Everything is clear. And the Mount of Olives will be split in its middle from east to west by a very large valley, so that half of the mountain will move toward the north and the other half toward the south. Maybe we will be split in two. Half of you will go north, half of us will go south. I don't know. But this is a sign of the end time. Now, that shows us the significance of this place, of the Mount of Olives. Half of my people and my inheritance, Israel, whom they have scattered among the nations, and they have divided up my land. Okay? So the God's trumpets will sound down there, and everybody, all of these people that have been buried here for centuries will come to life, and they will walk with Christ to this one. Okay, I'm looking to the north. I think all the ladies and probably gentlemen here, when you see somebody coming to hurt your children, what you do? How do you go? Like this. So these gorges kind of embrace Jerusalem on three sides: east, south, and west. Here to the east is the Kidron. To the south, Brother Tony, you asked me about this yesterday. Do you see that gorge in the distance? Huh?
Yes.
That is the Hinnom Valley. That is the Hinnom Valley. And
Gehenna.
Gehenna. And there's another one in the middle. You cannot see any trace of it, but where that bus is, where the truck is coming out. You see the road? Yeah. And that car that turned down? There it ran. It is called the Tyropian Valley, or the Valley of the Cheesemakers. Now this shape in Hebrew is the alphabet or the letter Sh. Have you heard of El Shaddai? Shaddai, God. Shaddai stands for three words in Hebrew. Shomer, that means the guardian or the protector of the Dlatot, that means the gates, Israel, the guardian of the homes of Israel. This is Shaddai. When you go this afternoon to your hotel, on the right-hand side frame, you can see mezuzah, which is that thing fixed to the door frame. People kiss it on the way in and on the way out, and I read when we go to the Western Wall, I'll tell you what that is. But maybe let me remind you what happened there in the Gehenna or the Hinnom. I think it's page 400 and something. 400 and maybe 60, no 40. 448. 2 Kings 23. I'll read two passages, one verse 6. And he brought out the Asherah. Asherah is pagan goddess, right? The Asherah from the house of the Lord. They put it there. From the house of the Lord. Outside Jerusalem to the brook Kidron, here. They brought it here and burnt it at the brook Kidron and ground it to dust and threw the dust on the graves of the common people. The second thing I want to read is concerning not the Kidron but the Gehenna. It goes like this, verse 10. He also defiled Tophet, which is in the valley of the sons of Hinnom, or the Gehenna. Valley in Hebrew is Gai. That's why Gai Hinnom, Gehinnom. That no man might make his son or his daughter pass through the fire of the Molech. What is this? There, in that valley, they used to sacrifice children, boys and girls.
Gehenna Valley.
Yes, sir. And there was. Okay. So, very close to that tower, there was a room called the Upper Room. Christ had the Last Supper with his disciples. There he predicted that one of the disciples going to betray him and give the enemy. Then Judas left, and then listen to these. Now, do you see kind of strangely shaped black dome? Huh? They believe it was there that Caiaphas had his palace.
Caiaphas Palace.
And they kept him in the dungeon for one night. We will visit probably there today. The following day, and by the way, at that time there was no wall there. Intercepted. Because the wall of the city in Christ's days was like this. Michael, this is good. See, look at the corner. Do you see this corner here of the wall? We call it the pinnacle of the temple where Christ was tempted. Right there, yeah. So from there, the wall went down. The wall went down, 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 down to this side of the Hinnom Valley or the Gehenna, and up, up, up. That means all of Mount Zion was inside the walls. What the Turks did was they left it out. I don't know why. But anyway, the following day Christ was led across town. From there was no wall again. I repeat that. To the right of the Golden Dome, do you see it? There is a massive big stone building. Do you see it with many windows? We believe there was the Antonia Fortress. The fortress that guarded the Temple Mount on the northwesterly side.
The Antonio
There he
Fortress.
stood for trial before Pontius Pilate. And then he had to carry the cross to Golgotha. Where was Golgotha? According to some people, look to the left and further end of the Golden Dome. Do you see two black domes there? Two black domes? One small in front of another bigger one behind. Right? Do you see? Yeah. That is the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. We looked at it from another angle this morning, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, coming out by bus. So some people believe it was there that he was crucified, buried, and resurrected. Others say no. Now, if to the right of the Golden Dome and farther, see the red brick roof? Yeah, in that area. And I told you that's the backside of the garden too. Okay? Whether here or there, you just, two theories. But the most important thing is that he has risen. Yes. So what is the looking horse or steed when you have seen it to heaven? So they built that, the monumental building, the Golden Dome. Okay? And to the left is the Al-Aqsa Mosque, that black dome. See? Black dome. And that's the most famous for the Muslims, third famous after Mecca and Medina. So they built the Byzantine church. Now, this church was built in 1956. And below it, the Golden Domes, that's the Russian Church of Mary Magdalene. The Russians believe that Mary Magdalene was standing here and looking at St. Stephen. When he was led out of that gate, which is called St. Stephen's Gate, he was stoned. So she was looking at people stoning him or killing, throwing stones, killing him by stoning. All right? And down below is another church, the Church of Gethsemane, which we will visit. Now there's a road that takes you down to the bottom, to the Church of Gethsemane, which we will walk.
I don't want to get. Hold on.
I told you.
We'll lay this stuff right here.
How much is it?
Good luck at this. Up to you. Okay, you been for this?
Dollar?
No, this is it's a gold. This is for $25. This guy gave him for 20. What $1? You think I steal it?
More like a friend?
You think I steal it?
Where is your necklace?
That is it. $22. What you play games with me? You play games with me?
Show your friend what if I wait for somebody else.
Yeah. I'll let you. I got my
Jane, you think you want to ride that for your main means of transportation?
No, sir. Hang on just a
Good.
second.
Michael's gonna do it.
Okay,
Okay. Hey, Michael. Mickey.
Jane, the fun part's getting off.
Last chance.
All right.
Welcome back. We made your day.
What about you?
No. I got about all I can handle. Wow, you're tall.
Where's your camera? Where's your camera? Where's the camera? Come on,
I know, but I just want more.
Hey!
What about you?
You want one? No. Okay, well.
Well, somebody else is on there.
Climb up the wall.
Each one, 4 dirhams. But I make it 3 for 2.
Now dive, Amos.
Shake a leg, mama. Yes. Come on. Yeah, listen.
Boy, they should make an incense with this now.
Push it up. Go, swing your leg. Swing your leg, mama. Go, swing your leg. No. My friend, get off. Get off.
Get off.
Get off.
Okay.
She's on sit good.
Okay.
Swing your leg.
Too heavy? What did you say? Too heavy?
No, I think the camel was wanting to get up,
Swing
wasn't
your
he?
leg. Take over. You should take this picture.
Oh, hell!
Take your foot off. Take your foot off. Okay. Sit straight now. Sit. Go. Sean, sit. Sit good, Mom. Sit good. Yeah, be straight. Go straight, sit straight. Come this side a little bit. This side. Okay, hold it. How it. Whoa!
What's wrong, Zell?
Oh, you get that on tape?
Okay, brother.
Tony, you get
The golden now is high up.
You made your day.
John or John is the same.
Who's the last couple now?
Jerry and Faye.
Yeah. Tony. Once he finishes,
I'll be in the morning. I have the bush with Tony.
Yes.
June, you going?
Yeah. Wait.
Well, they're going to stop down here.
Hamad! هات الجابة شوي ترجع شوف.
Coretta, if I start down, I'll yell timber to get out of the way.
Oh, you got shoppers. No. We're back in the Garden of Gethsemane. Our group is
I prefer to call it the Church of Agony. What we know is that after Christ had the Last Supper with the disciples, he came down from the top of Mount Zion behind over there, came down across the Kidron and came to pray here. There was an olive press. The family means olive press because of the amount of olives. Thousands of olive trees where they were pressed, to produce the oil. So he came to pray here. And look what happened. There's, many passages. I prefer to read Luke 22. That's why I call it the Church of Agony. There's also Matthew 26, And I want to read Luke 22, verse 39. And he came out and proceeded as was his custom to the Mount of Olives. And the disciples also followed him. And when he arrived at the place, he said to them, pray that you may not enter into temptation. And he withdrew from them about a stone's throw. And he knelt down and began to pray, saying, Father, if thou art willing, remove this cup from me. Yet not my will, but thine be done. Now an angel from heaven appeared to him, strengthening him. And being in agony, he was praying very fervently. And his sweat became like drops of blood falling down upon the ground. And when he rose from prayer, he came to the disciples and found them sleeping from sorrow, and said to them, why are you sleeping? Rise and pray that you may not enter into temptation. It was therefore somewhere around here that Christ knelt to pray, and he knew exactly what was going to happen to him. It mentions about one time, that they fell asleep. Actually, they fell 3 times asleep. And in the end, he says, when finally they promised that they stay awake, he said, don't worry about me anymore. My hour has come. So it was here that Judas came with the multitudes and kissed him. This is known even in English today as Judas' kiss of betrayal. So he betrayed him, and he kind of handed him over to the enemy, and they took him to the house of Caiaphas, and then to the judgment the following day. To commemorate this, in the Byzantine period, they built a church here. It was destroyed in 614 by the Persians, rebuilt by the Crusaders in the Middle Ages, destroyed by Saladin, rebuilt in modern days by Antonio Baluzzi, the greatest Italian monk and architect, in 1926. So this is kind of 80 years old. It is a kind of Catholic Franciscan church, beautiful inside with the 12 domes, maybe symbolic for the tribes of Israel. In the far side of the church, you can see inside the railing a piece of rock believed to be the place where Christ knelt to pray.
We're just about to leave. This is the Garden of Gethsemane. We've enjoyed the time here today. This is the Golden Gate, and
7 back for $10. Don't bring back. 7 for 10.
you walk so fast you get out of breath. Kidron Valley. This is walking down the valley of the Brook Kidron.
We need to walk faster a little bit.
Some of the
يلا خلصنا أستاذ. يلا. Influence on the architecture in the Holy Land. I believe they were built around like maybe 1st century BC, 1st century AD. See what I mean? Now, this first one behind me with the spiral top is called what?
Absalom
Tower. There was a time, Absalom being disobedient son, when everybody passed, whether Jewish, Christian, or Muslim, they threw stones, rocks at it. You bad boy. There was a point when the whole thing was simply dumped, you know, covered with rocks of those people that passed nearby. But what happened? So it's clean. In 1947, they found the Dead Sea Scrolls at Qumran near the Dead Sea. In one of the scrolls, there's a writing that there were treasures hidden at the Absalom tomb. Everybody wanted to find the treasures. They began cleaning the place, and this is the result. But they did not find any treasure. So this is the first one. There are 3 around Absalom, and there's James the Less with 2 columns. We'll see Zechariah to the far right.
tomb of James the
Far right,
Less,
Zechariah.
and then
So
Zacharias.
Absalom, James the Less, and Zechariah, and behind it Joseph.
Now, how long have those been there?
I'm saying Second Temple period monuments, maybe 2,000 years old.
Oh, my.
Yeah.
They hung Saul and Jonathan's head.
Yes. This is the pinnacle of the temple where devil would have tempted him to throw himself off. So it's a long way down here. We're in the Kidron Valley, heading toward the Tyropian Valley. And he's wanting everybody to run. Another shot of the pinnacle of the temple. You can imagine.
It was very small. Just above, look where that house is, was the wall of the city. All right? That means if you had wanted to come and get water from this spring, the only spring in town of fresh water in town is here. You had to leave the city, okay, in order to get in back in again. what happened when the Assyrians in the 8th century BC came here. The king of Jerusalem at that time was the 13th king. His name was Hezekiah. He says if these Assyrians get hold of the water, everybody inside would die of thirst. What did he do? He ordered 2 teams of diggers. One team began digging here, and the other one on the other side, which is where the Pool of Siloam is today, and they dug that underground tunnel, which is about 500 yards, until the water, they met finally. They met. These 2 diggers met in the middle, and the water began flowing underground from here to the Pool of Siloam that was inside the walls, and then they dumped the entrance here so that no enemy would know that there is the source of life for the people was here. This is called the Gihon Spring. It is the only spring of water, and let me read to you what happened here in 1 Kings chapter 1, 1 Kings 1. Listen, verses 33 through 34. And the king said to them, take with you the servants of your Lord, and have my son Solomon ride on my own mule, and bring him down to Gihon. This is the Gihon. People, see that minaret, which is a tower? Yeah. We used to take people over there. But what happened here recently is that sewage pipe, you see, broke. And the whole thing was covered with dirt. When they wanted to fix it, they had to clear the dirt, right? They found one step. And then they dug more. They found another step. Look at the step. And until they got here to the bottom. If they wanted to dig on the other side, but the Greek Orthodox Patriarch said,